1,000 other strangers, packed like driven cattle, speeding through a maze, rattling and lurching, reading poetry in motion. A muffled speaker tells us to expect delay. Shoot! Sorry.
Excuse me.
Hold the door!
Wait! I should have held a cab.
It's to the contractor too.
Did I forget my phone? That construction is new.
Monthly pass.
Late for class. Kiss my ass. Oh my God.
I hope my unemployment claim goes.
Why did I wear these heels?
Gotta make my quota this week.
Where in the hell's the train?
This aroma's unique.
I'm so late.
10 of 8.
Hate go waiting.
Don't they know that I got places that I need to go,
But I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Still 3, 5, 8,
13 minutes so far, underground, on a track, in a crowded car, till I get where I have to get.
but I'm not there yet.
Not there yet.
Gotta deal with the fact that I'm not the one driving. Gotta turn on the world as a means of surviving. Not at home, not at play, not at work, not in bed, not asleep, not awake, not alive, and not dead. Not in place, but still not moving ahead.
8 million souls so busy rushing around, blind to the beauty of the moment and deaf to the sound of the polyrhythmic melody, the multi-layered harmony, the ever-changing symphony of life underground. 8 million souls race to their destinations in this limbo life we live between stations.
No, I'm not there. Why am I not there? Still 2,
17 minutes from here.
but the track and the map and my route's not clear. Will I get where I have to get? I'm not there. Not there. I'm deep beneath the city with 1,000 other strangers.
Welcome, you guys.
That's a heck of an intro. Thank you.
Oh, hi. I am so excited that you're here. I am known for my love of Broadway, but what many people don't know is that long ago I was an a cappella superfan and have remained one. Deke and I have known each other since I was 14 years old, and his a cappella group came and sang at my high school, and we've stayed in touch for more than 20 years. And it's his Broadway debut. By the way, Deke Sharon is an a cappella legend who
Dork.
is...
That's either way. Yeah.
In fact, I'm gonna just have you each go down the line and introduce yourselves and say what kind of you're best known for and like your a cappella credentials.
Okay, I'm Kristen Anderson Lopez. I'm best known for writing the songs for Frozen. And I sang...
And winning the Oscar.
and I guess I know one for writing that song that your kids sing all the time, Let It Go. And my a cappella group was the Williams College E-flats.
I'm Deke Sharon, and I am best known for changing the sound of the college a cappella world while I was in the Tufts Beelzebubs. That was my college lineage.
Williams College gigged with the Beelzebubs.
Heart. And then starting the Contemporary A Cappella Society of America and doing a lot of different projects. Probably Pitch Perfect is the best known of those.
And the sing-off.
And the sing-off, and
Yeah. Basically anything that's had to do with pop culture and a cappella, Deke is the man behind it.
He's the father of modern a cappella music, basically.
And I apologize. I'm sorry.
Maybe the big brother, we should say. Your father makes you sound much older than you are.
Oh, I was going to say...
I am older than I am.
I was going to say grandfather, but father, I think.
I'm Justin Guarini. I think people first would recognize me from the first season of American Idol. And then after that,
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, and then after that, this is my 6th Broadway show. I found a wonderful home with this community. And my college a cappella group was, my high school a cappella group rather, was the Midnight Voices.
Yeah. And my high school a cappella group was called Madcap, and we all wore funny hats.
Of
Right?
course you did.
Why wouldn't
Of
you?
course.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
And I also started one of the first all a cappella radio shows in the country back in the late 90s. So this is a very special merging of two passions of mine. And I've been fans of all of yours for many years, Deke, through actually knowing you as a human, like in real life. And the other two of you knowing you more conceptually and through screens and through headphones. In Transit has been in the works for a long time. Kristen, it started when you and your post-collegiate a cappella group started writing your own songs and realized there might be a story in that. Can you talk about that a little
Sure,
bit?
yeah. Well, it started, I came to New York after Williams College with a really great education and a dream to be an actress on Broadway, but absolutely no training in how to actually do that. So I was auditioning and temping and doing that thing in your 20s when you look for where's my family gonna come from? Like, where's my life gonna come from? And I found this incredible workshop called the Lehman Engel Musical Theater Writing Workshop, where I met James Allen, one of our co-writers, and we had this a cappella group that we started while also learning to write musical theater. And we had an assignment at the end of the first year that we had to write a 10-minute musical, and I said, let's do something for our a cappella group. So we wrote something called Oedipus a cappella, a 10-minute a cappella version of Oedipus. And it actually opened a lot of doors for us. And then we started saying, hey, let's write our own songs for our a cappella group that's gigging around New York. And we weren't really that good. So the original songs were actually the thing that was landing the best. And we decided after 9/11, we all got together that night. We all took trains from our various places, got together that night and said, let's write a love letter to New York. Let's take these songs that we're writing and let's turn them into a show. And 2001, we did the first version of In Transit.
Wow, I didn't realize it went back quite that long.
Oh yeah, every one of these wrinkles starts
come
with
on.
some version of In
Exactly
Transit.
zero. Well, that was a time that this country really needed some harmony, and I know Deke's life's mission is spreading harmony through harmony. Justin, do you want to talk a little bit about the harmony in the show as a theme, both musically and in terms of
sure.
plot?
You know, I mean, Kristen certainly hit the nail on the head when she said it's a love letter to New York, but I also think it's a love letter to our humanity. And the really cool thing about the transit system, especially when you talk about the subway and when you come to see the show, it literally, you're going down into the ground in the Circle and the Square Theater, and then when you walk in, it looks like you're walking into a really beautiful subway. And so when you're in the subway, it doesn't matter if you're wealthy, if you're poor, if you come from the Midwest, or if you come, it's almost the great equalizer in our city. And so what Deke and Kristen and our writers and Kathleen, our director, have done is really just brought all of those themes together. And we have this beautifully diverse cast from all over the country. And so, you know, the harmony of the show is literal and figurative, of course. And it's just a really beautiful thing to do every single night because you have to listen to one another. And like you said, this is a show that is really for our time now because it brings a bunch of different people together.
Can I jump
harmony.
in for 1 second? Yeah. And then I want you to totally take over. We actually had our first audience was Wednesday after the election. And and it was a very intense time for a lot of us. You know, there was a lot of fear. And our show is really about what do you do when the outcome in life isn't always what you wanted or what you expected. And Kathleen Marshall gave this beautiful speech where she said, you know, tonight we come together to tell this story about how do you move forward when you don't get the outcome you want. You tune into your life, to the moment, and you start making the connections with the people around you. So it was this incredible healing experience for many of us in the theater. And I think right now that's what I'm trying to do in my own life is just tune in, listen, be in the moment, and connect.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think most importantly, people ask, oh, so this is the first a cappella musical. No one's done that before. And I make sure they understand that it's not just a cappella pasted onto Broadway. In the same way that Hamilton is not just hip-hop pasted onto a story. When Lin-Manuel Miranda read the Hamilton biography, he understood this as a hip-hop duel, and how many of the stories and the interwoven messages within the book and within our founding fathers' lives relate to our current society, and how hip-hop was the best vehicle for expressing that. This show, these people, their interwoven lives, and how they don't initially realize how important the other people are around them, how much harmony they're creating, and how they need to tune into that, is essentially what a cappella is all about. So it's beautiful to have them as actors on stage realize their lives and their missions and their paths interweaving with others as the harmonies come to life.
Yeah, and we walk around, all of us walk around, especially the city, every day with our headphones in, our eyes down, and we're just getting to where we're getting. And one of the thematic elements in this show is what happens if you take the headphones out, if you look up. And as I did this show, and was rehearsing this show, I would stop and I would look up at like Bleecker Street. And I'd see, there's beautiful art here. Look at these people, look at all these diverse people. And that's just one of the cool things as being on the stage and just dealing with a lot of the themes in the show, is that I realized, like, oh my goodness, I spend so much time like this, or just trying to tune out here to get to where I'm going, that if I just connect, there's a whole world that I haven't really realized is happening around me.
I talk a lot about how I wrote this show because it's the show I needed to exist when I was just lost without guidance in the city, trying to figure out how to get somewhere and having such a hard time. And what's funny is, now, again, the message, the theme of you can't get anywhere until you learn to be where you are, it's still the lesson I'm learning every single day when I'm with my kids, when I'm stuck in a cab or the train. I still have to take the train. Any time that I find myself just so frustrated that I'm not there, just going, okay, be where you are, you'll get there.
And I also have moments that are reflected in the show where you're getting change from somebody, or I just ordered something. You're like, yeah, and you never even look at them. You never meet eyes with these people that you interact with so often in our very busy urban lives. That and some of Kristen's best writing, I think, are these moments where people realize there's a human on the other side of the glass. So I stop and I catch myself, and I'll look right at the person in the eye and I'll say, "How's your day going?" And then we have a real connection, and everything lifts. And that's, I know it sounds crazy, my life's work is to spread harmony through harmony, but when people really listen to each other and they really understand how important these interactions that we have individually, not just speaking, but also singing, we are changing our society in many ways to bring it back to the way it was when everybody used to sing.
Yeah.
But back to the actual mechanics of listening to each other on stage. This show itself is almost impossible to do. I know Justin could talk.
Fear sweat. I have rings of fear sweat on my costumes. From it. Yeah, it is a certain challenge. I mean, mostly when you see groups singing together, especially in an a cappella sense, they will stand in a horseshoe or sort of semicircle formation, and that's usually so we can hear one another. But on a Broadway stage, especially at Circle in the Square, where we're in the round or three-quarters round, that's not really possible to do. You just can't have everybody clump together. We've got to dance, we've got to move. So this show is unique, and it's not the first show to have done it, but we have in-ear monitors that are molded to our ears so that we can have the experience of almost wearing headphones, standing next to one another, and being able to sing and dance and move around on the stage. And it's really a unique and challenging experience.
Which is essential because every sound comes from these 11 people. So when you go see the show, the best compliment I can get is that I forgot the show was a cappella, because I intended to have every note, every moment be about the characters and the emotion and the experience of Broadway. Sure. However, these guys, they'll be singing something, disappear off the stage, go backstage, keep singing, pull on different pants, put on a different jacket, walk all the way around to the far side vom, and then walk on the stage as a different character. all the
Backstage
while.
is its own show.
It's
It
amazing.
really is.
That didn't even occur to me when I saw the show, and I guess that's a testament to what you're saying. I could hear the voices continue, because the actors are also the orchestra.
That's right.
That's the
Yes.
definition of
There's
the
no
acapella.
instruments.
But
It's
that
all
means that
human voice.
sometimes there are only 1 or 2 characters on stage, but the whole cast is still singing. The idea of the quick changes in terms of the costumes didn't even occur to me. So do you have to make sure, what kind of microphones are you using, Justin? Are they the kind that go on your
we
forehead?
have these microphones.
So
and
when
a
you're-
couple
The
of our-
bass has this.
Right.
Because
I
without
want to
a
get
bass,
to him in a
it's
minute.
all about the bass.
The bass and the vocal percussionist. But before I do, when you're doing your quick changes, did the costumes have to be designed so that they wouldn't go over your heads? So there wouldn't be like the...
I don't have that problem, but I'm sure that you would ask the ladies. Most of the microphones are in the wigs that the ladies wear, so going over the head's not really a problem, and they don't usually snag.
At the first day of rehearsal, I actually went up to the costumer who was new on the show and said, "You can't use Velcro. You can't use Velcro."
Sound,
or do it on the beat. 1.
No, because you promised at the beginning of the show, you promised that every
Every
sound
sound
we
in the
hear is
show-
made from a,
And it's true.
a human
And
voice.
I should say the pre-show message is sung by the writers, James Allen, Sarah, and Russ, my dearest friends, incredible co-writers. We all sing the pre-show message. Even that is a cappella.
Yeah. Deke, did the choreography affect the arrangements at all? Like, did you have to think about who could see each other and when?
Yes.
And-
Moreover, as soon as I heard that Kathleen Marshall was the one that was going to be taking this to Broadway, I immediately went in and rearranged every single song. Because
how
she has
so?
3 Tonys for choreography on
Right.
Broadway. So I was like, well, they're not going to stand in an arc and sing. These guys are really dancing on stage.
But did you have to see the choreography before you knew how to do the rearrangements?
No, and some little tweaks that were in previews, some little tweaks still continue to happen, but I made sure that the choices that I was making, the number of breaths they'd have, the spacing between the bass and the upper voices, tweaky music theory nerd stuff that text me later if you really want to know. But the bottom line
going
is
to.
I knew that they would need to be able to breathe and move and dance and change their clothes because they are the instruments, they're everything. And moreover, the emotions that they're expressing in a different scene also affects the way in which they sing. You might not think about it, but when you smile, your vowels are brighter. Like all of the coloration within the background parts changes as a result of what they're experiencing in the show. It's far and away the most complex, unbelievably difficult thing that I've ever done or that I think has ever happened on Broadway.
I would agree.
It's really ridiculous.
Kathleen Marshall, 3-time Tony winner,
Yes.
Broadway's
Amazing.
queen,
Amazing.
was like, you guys wrote a deceptively difficult show. And it is. I have to talk about the beatboxer.
Yes,
yeah,
please
sure.
do.
Yeah,
Boxman.
So at the center of the show, in this world where everyone is so busy getting where they're going but doesn't want to be there, is someone who has chosen his life's work to be there, to be in the moment, tuning into people's beats and beatboxing about it.
He's basically a busker at the subway station. He's also the narrator of the show and kind of a guardian angel type of figure in the lives of the
Sort of, but we keep it
characters.
real too.
Well, yeah, no,
He's
there's nothing supernatural about it. I just mean and I think it speaks to his presence because he is really legitimately seeing every person who passes in front of him, and when he can, he helps them. That's what I mean.
Yeah. He like tunes into the beat of what's around him. So he's and truly the beatboxing community is a fascinating and incredible place. We found 2 of the best people in this community. There are several more, but these guys are human drums. It is unbelievable. They use circular breathing, so at any point, sometimes they can be making 3 different beats inside their head and their bodies while breathing.
Yeah.
And then using a loop station to create like a symphony. It's unbelievable what these guys do.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting. It's a magic trick to watch.
And they still look cool while doing it, which is
Yeah, they have such fashion,
the beatbox
such
thing.
fashion sense.
Yeah.
I have to take over beatboxing for maybe all of 20 seconds, and I'm like, I'm trying to find out how to breathe. I'm like, just gonna let me change my things, and then
Breathe
these
through
guys
your
are just like-
eyeballs.
yeah, these guys just making it look really easy, and they're
Can you
fantastic.
give us a little beatbox?
Show us.
Little beat?
And that's about as complicated as I can make it. Add like another 6 things, and that's what
Yup,
they do.
yup.
Now you can put that in special skills on your resume. Too. You can put beatboxing.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
When we first started the show, we actually watched like Wes Carroll, who kind of created is the godfather of beatboxing.
Mouthdrumming.com.
Mouthdrumming.com, and we were like boom sticats. Sticats, sticats, like trying to learn how to do it. I don't do it very well, but these guys are incredible. So you should come just for the beatboxing.
And the bass, I think.
The bass is amazing.
Amazing. And remind me the bass player's name?
Nicholas
bass,
Ward.
I call him the bass player. He's a singer, but as much as I love and am tuned into the fact that this is an a cappella musical, I hear them as instruments. I hear you guys as instruments, and I respond to you that way. And like you said,
That's a
Deke,
huge compliment.
Justin is like
Yeah.
the saxophone
compliment.
or the
Yeah.
clarinet, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, sure.
Can you talk about the storyline that your character takes? I feel
Sure.
like some of the
Yeah.
right before you do, Kristen, when you said, when I moved to the city and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I was like, oh, that's Margot's character.
That's Jane.
Yeah.
There is an a big autobiographical element. Of course, we began there, and then as we became better storytellers through other experiences in our life, started thinking of them as characters and putting them on great actors.
But I think the thing that's most powerful about the show is its honesty. And there's something incredibly honest about a cappella, the fact that these people on stage are the ones making the sound, but also these stories, the lines that these people speak, the situations they're in. It doesn't feel like you're watching a story. It feels like you're watching slices of modern life, which is why the audience, you hear them gasp at moments, and you hear them go, oh no, like people literally it's
Well, they're
amazing.
familiar, and it's all these stories that are interacting and intersecting, intertwining through the device of a subway station. And actually, I just want to compliment you guys on the set. There's an actual track, a train track.
Treadmill.
Yeah, it's like a
100-foot treadmill through the
that
middle of the
brings in-
stage.
It brings in the train cars. And also all the other pieces of the set, which are made up of subway seats and stuff. It's beautifully designed as well. I do want you to
How
talk
the
about
actors
your
interact
character.
with that too, dance-wise, is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, no, it really, I'll say when I first read, my agent first brought this to me, I read the book and I was like, oh my goodness, it is so unbelievably relatable. I mean, not to mention obviously the team that is working on it, but my character in general, and you know, it's 2016 and I can't believe that, you know, we still are dealing with this, but my character is a theatrical agent in New York. His name is Trent, and he represents one of our leading ladies. And he is a very much out gay man about to marry his partner of 3 years.
Played by
in New York.
Telly Leong. who
Played by
is,
Telly Leong.
one of
who's
the best actors on Broadway.
Brilliant, beautiful, handsome,
Not to
wonderful.
mention they're like a hot couple.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. And so he is completely out in New York and he's living his life and he's going to get married, but he comes from a small southern community. His
Fundamentalist.
Sorry? Fundamentalist, yes, a fundamentalist Christian southern community. His mother is a fundamentalist Christian, and he has never come out to his mother. And so he is caught in between the world of his father just passed away probably about a year ago, and his mother's all alone, and he now has to almost choose between his mother and this person that he loves. And Telly's character, Steven, says, look, we can't get married unless you live honestly and you come out to your family. And so Steven and Trent, the characters we play, travel down to this society, and I promise I'm going to tell my mom, and he begins to see how people, and it's 2016, and you would be so surprised when I go out and, you know, we sign autographs at the end, people say to me, oh, that's my story. People are still dealing with this, and I think it's such an honor for me to get up and to, through humor, through the beautiful music, to be able to go on Trent's journey every night where he deals with this very real, very pressing issue in today's society.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting, again, in light of the election, his story in particular really looks at how different regions of our country are living in completely different bubbles.
Yeah.
The red state, blue state, bubble. There's a huge difference between Chelsea, New York, and Big Creek, Texas. And we try and look at that honestly and look at a character caught between those two worlds. And honestly, you know, I'm from North Carolina. James Allen is from Wilson, Louisiana. Right. We both, two of the writers, really do have a foot in the blue state and another foot back in red states.
Yeah. And if I can throw in just a little piece of my own life, I was born and raised in San Francisco, so I come at all of this from the far left coast.
The bluest of the blue.
The bluest of the blue. When I was in college and I joined the Tufts Beelzebubs, a student-run college a cappella group, I was surrounded with a room, that's a frat guy, this guy's a chemistry major, this guy's gonna be pre-law, and these are people I never would have hung out with, let alone basically be in a business with, as well as a singing group. And it's where I learned how to listen. It's where I learned how to understand and to empathize and to work things out. And I know it sounds cheesy, but my life's work of spreading harmony through harmony is to try to give other people this opportunity. 100 years ago, everybody sang. You wanted Christmas carols, there were no records, you had to sing. People used to, in the pub, people sang. 4th of July, people got together and sang. You read all the classic novels, people would get together after dinner and they'd sing together. And we've lost that as a culture for a number of different reasons. But more than ever, our country right now is so divided. And if people got together with others who are not the same as them and had some common connection, and music is a very effective way to do this, I think our society would be far more effective.
That's a neat thing about what's happening at Circle in the Square is that every night 600 people come together in a really immersive way. You actually, the way the seating is, you're watching other people watch the show because you're gathered in a horseshoe around this spot. And at any time, you're no further than 10 yards away from the actors. Even the worst seat, you're as close as the camera is.
8 rows.
But 600 people come together and they experience joy. They experience harmony and joy. And to me, that's the most exciting thing. I don't want to spoil it, but when good things happen to characters, the audience is so excited that that good thing happened. When a bad thing happens to the character, they're all going, oh.
Like out loud.
The audience.
It's everyone gets really immersed in it.
We're all part of the group.
It's
We're all part
thrilling,
of the
and it's
show.
thrilling for the actors too.
I've never experienced or seen that on Broadway. Like Sweeney Todd kills someone and the audience isn't like, aww, right? It just never happened.
Well, that would be an inappropriate.
It's a little different, of course. But the thing that's so powerful about this story that Kristen and her fellow writers have written is that it's so real. And if you think about it, almost everything on Broadway now and that has been comes from a graphic novel or a cartoon or a movie or a book or something distant in historical past. What's more present and now, right now in our lives than what it's like to be in New York City with this melange of different people whose lives intersect in different ways, trying to understand who you are and how you relate to them.
So I could talk to you guys and listen to you talk for hours. We are on a limited time schedule. I'd like to take a couple of questions from the audience if you guys are okay with that.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
You have awesome hair.
I
by
know.
the way.
Look at her hair.
Thank you so
Can you?
much.
It's purple. It's awesome.
Thank you. My favorite color. So my question is for each of you. What was the first and last musical that you saw, and how did it impact your involvement in this new musical?
Great question.
Okay, my first musical. I'm still figuring out whether it was Peter Pan or Annie on Broadway, and I was hooked. The last musical I saw was Falsetto's opening night, which is also a beautiful story. So well done. With one of my dear friends, Betsy Wolfe, is in it too, along with some other closer friends.
For me, the first one that I was in that really impacted me powerfully was The Music Man. In fact, I sang lead in the barbershop quartet as a freshman in high school, and I kept that going all 4 years in high school, and that's where I learned to arrange. I started to sing doo-wop, and then I wanted to sing pop songs on the radio, and so that really started me on this a cappella path, and so it's so wonderful for me to be able to come back to Broadway when Broadway is really what started me on this track. And the two most recent ones that I've seen are both Hamilton and Beautiful, both of which really informed my understanding of how important it is, even though you're telling a story, even though you have all these things that you're setting up, that at the core of this needs to be honest relatable messages. That drives everything. Every musical choice, every line, every movement, all has to come back from there. And so far, so good.
Yeah, the first musical I ever saw was a Broadway musical, was Les Mis, with Colm in it. And it's just one of those experiences for me, just captivated. And the last musical, I guess the first musical that I was in was Pirates of Penzance, which I loved. I played Frederick, and it was this wild, crazy pirate adventure. And after that, I was hooked. And the
I was
last...
Buttercup in 3rd grade.
You were?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was the captain of the Pinafore.
I mean, such great music, right? And just wild and funny and wacky. And the last musical that I saw actually was a high school production of American Idiot, which I was in on Broadway. And it was so amazing to see these young people, and of course there's like 80 of them because it's a high school musical. But like all these young people like channeling and it was in an economically depressed area. And all these young people channeling that angst, that anger, that sort of thing that especially the youth have now, you know, with social media and all this stuff. Love social media, by the way. Don't hate social media. But you know what I'm saying, right? That sort of disconnect that can happen. Channeling that into music, channeling that into something positive. I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
Ooh, one more. The most recent I saw was Beauty and the Beast at my daughter's school where she played Belle, which the real takeaway for me is I need to start saving for NYU tuition.
Way to get a plug in there, Deke. Look out for Deke Sharon.
Michigan's also good.
Yeah,
Oh, the thing is you can sing a cappella at any college in the country now. I think that we've learned that the four of us up here are pretty much nerds across the board for a cappella and Broadway, and we are not the only ones.
Should we do a little Lion King or what is it? In the Lion Sleeps Tonight. That's always.
I will leave that to any
that in
of you if you'd like to do a 3-person version of it.
A whim away, 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 a whim away.
That's all I'm doing.
You guys aren't singing along. What's going on?
You can
they all
join.
just took their phones out and started watching.
I love that I was the bass. How did I get the bass
I don't
job?
know.
The tenor gets the
You're
bass
very
job.
versatile, honey.
Thank you.
Oh, I also want to just point out, if anybody wants to be in an a cappella group, one of the things Deke does is he helps people find them.
That's exactly right.
You're an a cappella matchmaker?
Yes,
Yeah.
matchmaker. I also did that. I was Tevye in the 8th grade. I can't explain
Really?
that. However, I know all 6'3" of my blonde hair. Yeah, whatever. But the
I
important thing
played
is,
Zeidel.
anytime anybody out there wants to sing a cappella, Deke at DekeSharon.com. No joke. I will help you find an a cappella group anywhere around the world. I want to help you guys sing. You will have so much more joy in your life. I don't care if you're 12 or you're 82. You like having music in your life will make your life richer.
And if you want to be in a Broadway musical, Kristen will write you one. Right?
Yeah. If you have a story, I would love to turn it into a Broadway musical. I can do one every 8 years or so.
Yeah.
Right now, Kristen is not only working on In Transit, but she's simultaneously working on Frozen for Broadway. So the way I like to describe it, right now she's having twins. She's sleepless nights.
See these bags under my eyes?
No.
Yeah.
I run from Frozen to In Transit. Now I'm in the rehearsals and then the previews, and then I wake up with my kids. I get them on the bus. I run to Frozen. I go to In Transit. It's a little bit of time.
Woo! Yeah, being in the moment. I can see how that's an important theme right now. Yeah. We've got time for a couple more questions from the audience.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
I was wondering, what are some of the key differences performing as an a cappella group versus performing as a musical group, like a group that uses instruments, or even like a live band in front of an audience or in the studio?
Well, I mean, I would say one of the more obvious things is that, you know, there are no instruments. You know, I always say, you know, I wish I had, you know, and I don't really wish this, I wish I had been like a guitarist or something like that, because I could be sick, I could have, you know, a cold, I could, you know, have a leg broke and still be able to play the guitar, right? But you know, one of the major differences for us on the stage is that we all, and you have to do this on the stage anyway, but in an extra way, we have to really, truly rely on one another. We have to listen to one another. And no matter what you come in with, whether, you know, you've had a good day or a bad day, when you land on that stage, you all have to be together. You all have to listen, and you all have to support one another. And that's just such a beautiful thing to be able to do every single night, be a part of.
I have to say that this cast is they are quadruple threats. There's triple threats, which is acting, singing, and dancing. These guys are acting, they're singing, they're dancing, and they're incredible musicians and they are backing up everybody who is singing the solo. And what that means is they have to have the ability to pop out and be a soloist, and they can Liza it up all they want at that moment, and then they have to fade back and tune in and not stand out. So they have to not only know all of these beautiful background harmonies, they have to tune themselves in and blending is one of the hardest things you can do. You have to stop your vibrato. You can't use your stylizations that you're used to. You have to be going do, do, da, do, do, when you're used to going like, y'all be great, y'all be swell. And it's a very different skill.
And yet inside you're feeling, yo, do. So reining that in is tough. Something, just to break down the math for you, you look at a 3.5, 4-hour Wagner opera, and even the busiest singer is singing for 22 minutes, right? Whereas in this a cappella show, everybody's singing more than an hour. So to really sum it up for you, instead of going, dance to the music, dance. You're going, dance to the music. Dance to the music. Yeah, for an hour and a half. Good luck.
One more question?
Hi, I guess collectively or individually, what was the most challenging thing about putting this production together?
I'll get while you think about that. The most challenging thing from, I think, the actor's perspective is that we spent, and this rare, I mean, it's never happened to me before. We spent 10 days just learning the music, sitting down, learning the music. And I mean, how would you describe this? Because, usually we think you're just, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's something interesting happening here, and it all makes sense, and it's a melody, and it goes forward. But this is more like dip, 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 dip. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
and that's the easy one.
And that's the easy
you
part.
posted a picture on Twitter, I think, of a couple of measures back to back that was like 10, 11 time.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
Like,
it went in like 6, 4.5. Thanks.
Yeah,
to
thanks, Deke.
Both Russell Kaplan and James Allen Ford are really great composers, and they don't want it to sound like something you could hear on FM Light. They actually really want it to be. They are holding themselves to a bar as high as Sondheim and Adam Guettel. They are not doing the easy chords all the time. Yeah. They are making 7, 8 measures.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
And writing
when you
incredible
get,
melodies. And
yes, exactly. And it's like, it sounds just like when I'm, when one person sings it, but when you add the other 10 in, it makes this beautiful picture. And so the challenge is, to get to the point, was doing all of that, learning all of that craziness, and then putting choreography on top of all of that, then putting blocking, which is we move all the furniture, we move all the everything, we have to get on a treadmill that's moving at a certain pace, and then on top of that, putting all the words and all the actions and the things that the story we have to tell on top of that. So it's still crazy, but it's an awesome challenge. I've never been this challenged before, and I love it.
They're doing it. I'd say purely musically, technically, when you work with most vocal groups, there's a homogeneity of sound and background and style. You look at the King Singers or Take 6, they're very similar. So they have a similar ooh and a similar ah. The great thing about this cast is the incredible diversity. And I like working with groups like that. But then you come at one person who sings ooh, like very choir boy or choir girl, and someone else will go ooh, and then you're like, okay, those have to somehow match and be the same in the next 2.5 seconds because we have to move on to the next song. And then you marry that with the fact that the emotion that usually choral people, I have to pull it out of them, but with these amazing performers, the emotion is right there on their sleeve. So like you were saying, they're aggravated, they're angry, whatever, and they want to just sing really loud, but you can't have all 11 blasting through, you'll never hear the melody. So they have to pull all of that back and still have all the emotion held. So these are things that have not really ever been dealt with in a cappella before.
I think for me, the hardest part about this is actually in line with the theme. This show has been on a local train, not the express. And what's interesting is only now am I realizing there's always a plan. There's always a reason for this. And right now, this show is exactly right for where we are in time. And that's why it hasn't happened until now. We've had many workshops. We've had lots of people who believe in it, who've said, "Oh, I want to take this. I want to take this." But for various reasons, it never quite got to Broadway until just now. And I think part of it is that the world caught up with Pitch Perfect and the sing-off to the phenomenon we all, as a cappella dorks, were already a part of. But also because I think right now the world needs a show that looks at what do you do when the ending is not exactly what you thought it was going to be. You tune in and you sing and you make connections.
You find harmony. I'll tell you, the hardest part for me as an audience member was walking out of that theater. And the good news is the show is in previews now. It opens December 11th. Hopefully it'll be around a long, long time, and I'll get the chance to come and relive it over and over and over. I'll see you guys there. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Laura.
Absolutely. Everybody go see In Transit.
Guys.